Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, I'm ScrapMan, bringing you another episode of Scrap Mechanic, and today is the results of the Stupid Vehicles Challenge, where I challenged the scrapper community to come up with strange modes of transportation for vehicles. Now, in that episode, I built this thing to demonstrate an example of a stupid vehicle, and this thing just uses the weight of that big blue thing to pull its way across the ground. So it's not the most efficient way to get around. Doesn't work great, but it works. And I asked you guys in the comments to come up with a name for it, and the winning name was the Punchline. And I like that one because it was a play on words. It has a double meaning. Punchline being it's kind of like a joke of a vehicle, but also punchline because it's kind of like a punching action in a very, very straight and long line. So it just had a lot of interesting ways that the name fit with this. But now it's time to look at some of my favorites from your submissions to the Stupid Vehicles Challenge, and there were over 200 submissions this time. So I spent the past few hours going through them, doing my best to try to figure out how they work and stuff, and I've narrowed it down to I think about 12 finalists. And then I want you guys to comment down below which one of these were your favorite. Now, these are in no particular order, except the very last one is the one I'm saving as my personal favorite. Now, there's no real objective way to measure the best stupid vehicle. I basically just chose them based off of the ones that were most unique or most original when it comes to how they move around, the most creative, or perhaps even the most just interesting to watch. Like, there was all kinds of different ways that it could speak to me. So this is SM Stupid Vehicle by Chris. So we're gonna go ahead and spawn this thing in, and we're gonna watch how it goes. So you can see it's very bouncy. Very, very bouncy. It's at, whoa. I'm not doing, it's just doing this on its own right now. All right, I think it's settled in. I think it's finally settled in. There we go. Now check this out. So you can see the pistons, there's a lot of logic going on under here, as you can see. And it's timed in a way that the pistons will extend one after another in kind of a wave type format, and then cause the vehicle to move forward as they extend. It almost reminds me of like those strand beast type things, these types of wooden vehicles that use just pure physics to move across the ground. It's kind of really interesting to watch, but this reminds me of those. And you are able to turn left and right. If you can just do one wheel at a time. So if I hold the left one there, you can see it's trying to turn me. There we go. And then we can go ahead and go straight again by pressing both wheels. Then we could probably turn left by doing this one. And you did miss one spot there on the top of that wheel. Or just not the top, but on that part of the wheel. But don't worry, I didn't factor that in really. So yeah, this thing was extremely satisfying to watch. So this made it into the top, the top 12, I guess. But we got 11 more vehicles to get to, so let's go ahead and get on to it. Okay, up next, we've got the Slapatron 69,000 by Matthew. And this one made it the top because not only does it work, but it is hilarious. This thing is hilarious to watch, and I just love watching this thing go. So let's see if we can get up in the seat here. All right, so these thrusters, as far as I could tell, are optional. So I'm just gonna press forward, and there we go. It's gonna pick up some momentum a little bit, and we're going. This is it. I mean, it clearly doesn't work great. It clearly does not work great, but as you can see, it works. I can turn too. We can go where we want to go, and I think we could even go backwards if we wanted to. We can just go in reverse directions there. And now if we put thrusters on, you can see it doesn't make like a huge difference. It just keeps us a little bit more steady, a little bit less bouncy. But to be honest, I don't think bounciness really detracts that much from the functionality of this thing. It's already ridiculous enough. Bounciness isn't really adding anything to it that isn't already just pure ridiculousness. So yeah, I think it's kind of obvious why this one made it in. It's hilarious and it's interesting to watch. It's definitely unique. All right, on to number 3. Okay, so now this is interesting. We're gonna spawn in 2 right now because out of all of the 200 creations, there were 2 that used the same idea that it also happens to be extremely unique. So the fact that 2 people came up with this particular concept is actually really crazy to me because there were a lot of repeat concepts, especially like walker and crawler style things. Like a lot of people made some type of crawler, But this was something that I was impressed that anyone even thought of, let alone two people coming up with the same conclusion. So the first here is Silly Vehicle by Hate9. And then we have the Tankless Tank Track here by Michael. Now this one here is more of like an honorable mention because this technically doesn't qualify all of the rules of the challenge since it doesn't have any turning capabilities. It can only go in a straight line. So the rule of it being controllable enough to get you to a designated destination, if my destination requires me to turn at all, this does not allow me to do it. But just check out how this thing works. I still wanted to feature it because it is a really unique idea, and it is very similar to this one. Now, this one over here, called the Tankless Tank Track, does have turning capabilities. So this one does meet all of the qualifications, but I just thought that it was really crazy that two people came up with the same kind of idea. So this one, oh, okay, that was weird. This one obviously functions in a similar way. It's just a little bit faster, actually a lot faster, but the size has something to do with it. But then you can see, if we try to turn to the right here, one of the wheel sides will turn to help us turn to the right, and we want to turn to the left. You can see the other wheel sides turn just like that. So it's a really kind of unique turning method. I was wondering why the wheels were there at first, but now it's kind of obvious. But yeah, this whole idea of a tankless tank tread that just kind of moves itself is just super creative. So good on both of you for coming up with the idea, and good on you, Michael, for coming up with a way to make it turn. So up next, we have Mr. Naris. Now, as far as methods of movement goes, this is one of the crawler methods, but of most of the crawler methods, this was one of the more unique ways of doing it. So this is called Human Eater. We're gonna go ahead and spawn it in here. Now, in order to make this thing go, you have to actually give it some type of motivation. And the motivation you can give this thing is by jumping on the tongue with your dwarf. Once it gets a taste, it's finally motivated to start moving forward. You can see it is extremely slow. Extremely slow, but this is a crawler method. And now there were dozens and dozens of crawler methods, but I think this one kind of takes the cake, or takes the dwarf, rather, if you're not careful. And you can turn it too. If I just hit this, you can see we're going to go ahead and turn in that direction because he's just going to use one hand instead of both hands. So although this will be very, very slow going to get to any particular destination, we do have enough control to get there, which is all you really need. Doesn't have to work great, just has to work. And I think this thing does it. And the idea of it was really unique and clever too. And the shape of, like, look, the nose is really well done. And yeah, it's even got a little fiery tail back here. All right, on to the next one. I don't even know what number we're at anymore. All right, here we have Piston Wave Car by General Lindor. Now, this one is another one of a kind. So you could probably judge by the name that this actually uses a piston wave method of propulsion. So let's get in the seat here, and all the magic happens up in the top there. So we're gonna go ahead and activate it. Now check it out. So you can see all those pistons come down in a wave, and the pistons are actually on a wedge, so it creates almost like a wall that then pushes this wheel peg around, causing the entire thing pretty much to just roll. And is there turning? Yes. All right, so we just have standard thruster turning. But the forward mechanism is just really impressive as a concept. And that's just kind of like the whole idea of Stupid Vehicles, is coming up with really creative and unique concepts for transportation that there's just no real practicality to it whatsoever, but it's super cool and interesting to see in effect. And I think this kind of exemplifies that right here. It is super, super slow, but it is functional, as you can see. So excellent job on coming up with such a unique idea among 200 submissions. All right, up next we have Stupid Wing Thing by Tim the Dim. So this one confuses me a lot because it's just the way that things work is so weird. So by reading the description, this only uses wings to move. The wheels kick the wings out. He's referring to these wheels in here. They kick the wings out, letting them catch air to propel itself forwards and backwards. So let's spawn this thing in here. So as you can see, the only bearings that have any power to them are the ones that turn the wings here. Like, these wheels don't have power to them. These wheels don't have power to them. Now, in order for the wings to propel you forward, they have to catch the air on one direction, but not catch the air in the other direction. Otherwise, they just be canceling each other out. So somehow, these wheels being in these particular positions happen to solve this problem. So check it out. So you can see at the bottom there, the wings come out, or like pushed out perpendicular to the flow of the wind. And then once they go up to the top, you can see that they're flat, like kind of horizontal with the rotation. So they don't catch the wind at the top, but they do catch the wind at the bottom. And the fact that this works like this, like look at the wheels like hitting them. It's just such a weird concept. Dare I say, a stupid concept. But if it works, is it really that stupid? Well, you'd be stupid for choosing this over just a standard car, that's for sure, if you want to actually get from point A to point B. That's why we call them stupid vehicles, because there's just much more intelligent ways of getting around. But I gotta say, this is another one that stands apart from all 200 plus of the other ones. Nothing quite uses physics like this thing does right here. And that's why it made it into the top list. He said if we turn the engines down, we can get a closer look or an easier look at how it's working. So check that out. Like, you can see the wings just turn after coming in contact with the wheel like that, and it's interesting. Like, it's kind of weird that it works so well. It's super interesting, though. I like it a lot. All right, let's get on to the next one. All right, up next, we're going to have two similar concepts. They're not necessarily similar methods of propulsion, but the concept is similar, and I love this idea. So this is by Rekka V. And basically the idea is it looks like a completely normal and awesome looking vehicle. But then when you use it, you realize it just does not, it just breaks all expectation of functionality. And it's kind of hilarious. So let's spawn this one in. We'll show you how this one works here. So, I mean, this is just, it's a great looking pickup here. Like, it looks awesome. Good color scheme and everything. So we got some buttons here. We have the first one opens the doors, where the second one opens the hood. You can see we got some engines in there and everything. So all is looking normal. So why don't we go ahead and drive ourselves forward here? It's just like this is the last thing you would expect. Like everything else, just everything's in the right place. Everything looks perfectly normal. And then the bed of the car just starts spinning to move you around. Like, it's just... It made me laugh when I saw it, so I just had to feature this thing. But then, there's another vehicle by somebody else who pretty much uses the same kind of idea, but a different way of doing it. And the idea is basically the vehicle looks cool, looks normal, everything seems to be functional in the right place until you use it and you realize it doesn't function quite the way you think it should. All right, so here is Stupid Vehicle by Critikill. So this almost looks like a sports car limo type thing. It's very long, very like interesting shape. It also looks really like modernistic and stuff too, especially with that. Is that water back here? Wait, why is there water back there? All right, anyway, let's get on in here. We've got some sliding doors as well. So you can see this one also has similar... Oh, we even have like the stabilizer mug. It says hi inside. I didn't notice that at first. And a duck. We can close the doors. We can open the doors. And that can allow us to get out. So yeah, everything seems normal. Now, why don't we go ahead and press the gas? It's like, why? Why? So this one is also kind of like a crawler method as well. A little bit different than like a standard crawler method, but just kind of the idea of just kind of grabbing and pulling yourself. But just the fact that it looks so normal, and then this starts happening, and you can even turn too. See, once we turn, one side starts going like this, turns us around on the spot there. Like, it's just kind of like the breaking of expectations is what I really enjoyed about this one. As well as the other ones. So I just had to show you guys these ones. And then you stop and everything just goes back to normal. Looks perfectly fine again. So I just thought that was hilarious. Oh, I forgot to open up the top. It's crucial. Crucial. All right, let's get on to the next one. All right, so this one, the name kind of speaks for itself. It's a Stupid Hamster Wheel by Electro. So as you can see, we got a hamster in this wheel here. And now as far as I know, this hamster actually gets disconnected as an independent object. And then the downwards thrust gives it enough weight to actually affect the movement of this entire vehicle. But first, we got to get up into the seat here. There we go. All right, so as soon as we get into the seat, it looks like it automatically disconnects. But now we just press forward, and I guess there's a remote control glitch that allows the hamster to kind of move forward. And then as you can see, we also have some gimbal jets up here that just keep our seat on the top end of the wheel. And yeah, this is how it works. And it looks like it has some thruster turning. It's not the most effective, but it works. So yeah, definitely a pretty stupid idea if you want to really get to work on time. Just imagine this thing driving down the road. It's like, it's run a little bit late. Sorry, Mr. Hamster here's not feeling his best this morning. So yeah, definitely another one-of-a-kind submission. And that was really kind of what I was looking for too, was your idea unique enough that it really stood out among all of the other ideas? And this was definitely one of them. All right, let's delete Mr. Hamster here and get on to the next one. All right, so this one also really, really unique. This is SM Stipend v. Kyle by Nicholas 13. All right, so as you can see, it's a pretty cool looking car, but then you just got this thing slapped onto it. And this basically, it's almost like a similar concept to the punchline that I showed you at the beginning of this video, where it kind of pulls itself forward, but instead of using pure weight to pull itself forward, this actually uses aerodynamics, and therefore it doesn't require the whole pistons on the ground thing that my vehicle required. So we go ahead and press W, and you can see that the wings grab the air, pull us forward, and then they turn themselves horizontal to the flow to get themselves back out there without pushing us too far back, so we actually make forward progress. And I thought that was a really unique idea. And of course, it's just a standard car underneath, so turning is just normal turning. But yeah, definitely a one-of-a-kind concept. Didn't see anything particularly like this one here, and it actually works, so I was impressed by that. All right, are you guys ready for the final and favorite of ScrapMan for the stupid vehicles submissions? This thing, when you look at it, you're like, it's just it looks like a ridiculous creation that isn't going to do anything special. But then once I actually used it, I was super impressed that this thing works the way it does. So here we have Bumpy Bumper by Geniosis. So I mean, just looking at it, it looks just kind of ridiculous, but this thing to me is a physics feat of amazingness. So you can see here, we have like almost no bearings on this thing. This is purely run by the power of these springs and then the power of these arms. It is a weight distribution masterpiece in my mind. So we're gonna go ahead and get in here and let's go forward. Look at this thing. Like, it totally works. And you're probably wondering about turning. Turning is even more impressive that it works this way. So if I turn to the right, you can see that they actually get a little bit off-centered from each other, and that causes the weight distribution to actually give a turning motion, which is awesome. So you're totally able to turn, you're totally able to go forward, and I think, can I go backwards if I do it this way? Yep. So this is totally just, how many times am I gonna say totally? I'm gonna say totally as many times as I need to just totally get the point across that this thing was super impressive to me. Like, it's so simple and complex at the same time. And when I saw it, I was like, there's no way that this thing is working the way that it's working right now. There has to be more to this. But the fact that there is not more to this and that this is enough to make it work is what really put it into the top slot for me. And it's hilarious to look at too. Like, it's a little bungee, like, pogo stick thing. So yeah, we showed a handful of creations in this episode. I want to know down in the comments, of all of these, which one was your personal favorite? This one obviously was my personal favorite for totally amazing reasons. But I would love to know what you guys thought, because it's completely subjective and I'm sure everyone's gonna have different personal favorites. And I'm also kind of curious, would you like to see another stupid vehicles challenge like this? Because this isn't like a bomb dropping challenge or something like that where there can be like the best method. This is like, there can always be new awesome stuff with a stupid vehicles challenge. So another episode would have completely different results. So if that's something that you'd like, then let me know down in the comments as well. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you did enjoy. Please leave a like if you did. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future content like this. And a special shout out to all of my Patreon supporters and YouTube members who are supporting the channel in that little extra way. That also makes a big difference to me. So thanks a lot. Anyway, this has been ScrapMan, and I'll see you next time. Bye.